the Rangers Journal now.
Good evening and welcome to your Rangers Journal immediate post-match reaction. With me tonight is Cammy. How you doing, Cammy?
I'm good. Certainly happier than the last time we done a post-match a few weeks ago. So it's a Rangers away win in Europe doesn't happen all the time. So it was a thoroughly professional job and a great 3 points to kick us off.
That's it in a nutshell, mate. I thought for me, kind of watching that, I don't want to say comfortable, but I wasn't as kind of terrified as I have been in some games recently.
I think we were talking before we went on, and I think I was just a bit PTSD with regard to 1-0 leads and playing well for 45 minutes, not putting the game to bed. But once the second goal went in, you can relax a wee bit and enjoy the last 10-15 minutes. Overall, a positive away performance in Europe, and the only negative is we should have scored more goals. But there's again incremental progress, another clean sheet. So great way to start us off.
That's it, mate. And I think, I mean, as I said before we kind of came on, I would completely agree with that. I think the nerves of not quite killing the game off were there. I guess a lot of that comes from the kind of recent experience with our defence and the fact that we've always kind of felt they're probably ripe to concede most likely a stupid goal with maybe 2 passes cutting straight through the pitch and scoring. I didn't see that tonight. The fear was there. It's kind of ingrained as us fans are, but I actually thought they had a really solid game, that defensive line tonight. What did you think?
To be honest with you, Dave, I've been critical of the manager at times with regard to tactical structure and setup and what have you. But I thought it was very clear how he wanted us to play. I thought we were very well organised. Defensively, we were solid. I thought the 2 centre halves they look as though they're building a good relationship. I think that's clearly that's the first choice pairing now. Big Casa at left back, solid, for a debut to come in. I thought, but it's just that scar tissue that you just want, and until we do it consistently, winning games, then that scar tissue is always going to be there over time, But I think positive signs, good structure, and I think defensively, the fact that Jack Butland's never had a save to make, I think that tells you that that goes back to the early stages under Philip Clement when we weren't giving up chances. Mm-hmm. So I think I thought Suter particularly defended the box really well, and I think we limited the opportunities that they had, So it's a good night, and we can, all the Bears across there can enjoy the £11 pints after the game.
That's absolutely wild. Although judging by the pre-match, whether it's Sweden or Denmark apparently is up for debate, but hey ho. Just want to touch quickly. I don't want to get too far into this because I know it's likely going to be controversial. It always is with this chat, but I thought Tavernier looked solid defensively as well, actually, today.
He has his moments. I think there was a couple of moments, but I think overall, I thought he played his part as part of that back four. I thought he done okay. I think they did try to target him. And I think that's just the comment I totally agree. I think you have to. That's a team effort. Going away anywhere, a tough away game in Scotland, a tough away game in a at any away game in Europe, you have to defend properly, you have to work hard, you have to limit chances, all that sort of situation, you know. But Tav, I think, had one or two scary moments. I think they did try to target him, but he's going to be the right back. But this isn't the night to have a Tav pod. I want to try and accentuate a positive Rangers performance, and I think that's. I don't personally think there was any failures tonight. I think everybody contributed towards a positive result.
Yeah, and I just want to pick up on this from Curry. I would tend to agree. I think it was the best we've played. I think, as you say, there was nobody that you thought, oh God, you've had a howler here. I felt they all contributed, and one that I wanted to talk about in particular, just given the impact that he had, but it's not the first time he's had this from the benches. Ross McCausland. He's had his issues probably last season. I thought, he burst onto the scene, looked quite promising, then went for a proper, I'd say, drought where he just looked lost out on the wing there. He really took his chances tonight, and I think he did it previously as well. What was your thoughts on that?
It's funny, Dave, because we spoke on a pod at the start of the season about what Ross McCausland had to do to kick on. He had injuries towards the end of last season after an initial breakthrough. He's doing exactly what you want when he's getting the opportunity in the last 15, 20 minutes of games. And I think that McCoist highlighted it in the commentary. It was his anticipation that made the goal. It was just a hopeful long ball for Tav. The ball comes down and he's first to react to it, and then he places it in the corner. But Ross McCausland, for me, has done really, really well so far this season. I think cameos off the bench, I think they would probably call it, delighted for him to see him get the goal, and you just want him to keep going. I think he's going to get opportunities. Czerny is going to be the first pick on the left hand side, but he just has to keep making the most of his opportunities. I've spoke about the numbers. We all fixate on numbers. That's 2 goals I think he's got so far this season. Right. So there you go. We're nearly into October. A couple of goals. If he can get a goal a month between now and the end of the season, playing a bit part play as a sort of squad player, 8 to 10 goals from him at the end of the season will be a positive. So I was delighted for young Ross. Really happy.
Yeah. Just a reminder, folks, we've already had our captain in the chat, but if you do like what you're seeing, just remember to hit that like button on the video. And if you head over to the channel itself and like and subscribe, there's plenty more content coming. Starting with later on tonight, there will be match ratings into the community post as well. So worth giving a follow. You'll get notifications on and alerts as to when we're going live. So a lot of people in here saying what performance is great. Does this potentially start to swing the dial and the mood of the support a bit, do you think?
I think I think I've said previously, I think the only thing that changes people's negativity is winning games of football. But if you can win games of football and you can actually see a progress and you can see what we're trying to do and we're creating chances, that's how you build confidence and you build momentum. You've got the positive news that we're going back to Ibrox on Sunday to a full stadium. You then follow up with so we've got 3 home games at Ibrox in the next week. It's a great opportunity to, if you could get 3 wins on the board, very much cliche, take it one game at a time, all that sort of stuff. But what's past is past. The summer, losing to Celtic, all that sort of stuff. All we can do now is focus on ourselves, win games of football, try to improve game on game, and hopefully we become more clinical and put games to bed, because I think there is football in that team. I think I think we saw it at the weekend against Dundee. Once we got a couple of goals up, I think if we'd went a couple of goals up earlier tonight, we would have relaxed a wee bit more. I think there's still that level of still a lack of confidence probably within the side, to be honest. But we can use this a win at Tannadice, win in the cup, win tonight, 3 clean sheets. It's the best way to react to what happened before the international break. If you win the 3 games before the next international break, then you just take it for there. Just take the season almost in small chunks. And as Philip Clement has says, by the time we get to October, November time, we should be starting to see relationships and a sort of settled side building up. I can see signs of positivity. So let's hope we just keep what's happened the last couple of games going.
Yeah, agreed. And I think another player that's come under criticism at some points, who I tend to agree also had a really good game tonight, is Diomande. So I think the accusation's probably been that, he just hasn't done enough, that he potentially wants too much time on the ball. I thought he was excellent tonight, and I think there was one point he must have had about 4 players around him and still managed to come out with the ball and lay it off. What did you make of him?
He's technically a very good footballer, and these are the games where his technique and ability to hold the ball and be clever in tight spaces. And I thought he showed that. I thought him and Connor Barron were very good in the middle of the park. I think they look a good 2, and I don't think there was a lot got in behind them tonight at all. So Diomande, I think we all were quite hard on him, because I think you can see a player there. We just haven't seen it. We probably still haven't seen it for long enough. If that we haven't seen him dominate a game. But I think tonight, I thought he was very good. The two young guys in the middle of the park, to their credit, and that's a big thing. It's a European. It's a big European game away from home. They're fancying their chances, continuing their success against us. But I think Diomande, Barron, middle of the park, excellent.
Yeah, hard to disagree, mate. And I mean, Connor Barron, I'm not going to go into him on this one, because I think just about every pod we've been talking about how he's done so well. Continued it tonight, though, in fairness. And again, I think there's quite a nice, sweet partnership forming there. I just want to pick up something that Curry said here, and he's talking more around the organisations of the kind of tactical, structural setup as opposed to individual players. I think that's quite a good shout, actually. We've seen a lot of kind of movement of players. There was that point where Malmö did have that bit of pressure at the start of the second half. I noticed at points one of the midfielders was dropping back to almost make 5 just to counteract it. It looked like there was a real plan there. And again, that's something that we've been kind of told and seen hasn't been the case in previous games.
As I say, I was the biggest critic towards the end of last season, where I struggled to see what we were actually trying to do in and out of possession. But you're starting to see signs of a lot of work that's obviously going on in the training field. I think a lot of analysis, is probably going on a daily basis. Looking at clips, I think players are probably getting a lot of one-to-one work. That's what you want. That's what you want to see. You want to see a cohesive plan and see what we're trying to do. We know the limitations and the things that we're still missing, but as long as you can see a plan, and as you can see what you're trying to do in a structure, and you're not getting cut open very easily. I think we were in transition. I thought a lot of times we were overrun in the middle of the park, but I think we're starting to bridge those sort of gaps, and that's what I'm not saying that's the basics that you expect from a Rangers team, but I think my concerns of previous are lessening, because I'm starting to see a bit more organisation and what appears to be a clear tactical plan.
Yeah, and I think you and I directly have spoken about this before, and it's not so much at this stage seeing the finished article, it's seeing that kind of continuous progression game on game. So the fact that we're starting to look like we've got a plan can only bode well. Just on real quick, CGM, want us, mate. We're here with you. I'm sure the captain will feed that back into the chat. I personally would have, if I'd been doing the ratings, I think I would have given him probably a 7.5 for me.
Yeah. To be honest, I think overall, Dave, I think he's a solid 7. I think he had. I'm not going overboard, but I thought he had a really solid game, and I think solid's a good word for our performance tonight. I think across the pitch, I think it was limiting chances. Should have scored more goals, but you could see what we were trying to do. It was just, you go away from home and you beat anybody 2-0 in Europe. We've only won 4 in the last 23, I think they said, away from home. So you need to be stuffy, and everybody has to do the dirty work and what have you. So solid, I think, is the it's not the most exciting word in the world, but I think that's what describes the performance for me.
Do you know what? After the start of the season we've had, I will 100% take solid. How often was that same word you used to describe our 2008 run? That was pretty much the byword of that campaign. So solid for me right now, especially in Europe, is absolutely bang on. Just before we wrap up, mate, and again, it's one we kind of mentioned briefly before we came on air. I think Malmö, I'm not going to sit here and say they were mugs. I'm not going to say I was massively confident of a win and we were always going to beat them. But I think by a lot of people, they're perceived to be one of the more winnable games of our draw. So it was really important that we got that kind of good start to the campaign, facing them quite early. We did touch on it, but I'm going to go over it again just because these guys obviously didn't hear us. Rumor has it, or the sort of general consensus, is 9 points is enough to take you through in this new format. I think that's 3 on the board already. What do you think that does to our chances of getting through this into the latter stages, mate?
I think it's going away and winning in the opening game is the ideal start. I think it was. I expected a tougher game, to be perfectly honest with you. I was slightly concerned they're coming to the end of their season, but we've went out and done a job. 9 points, I think they're saying, to be in the top 24. I think 9 points. So you've got 3 home games to come. I think if you can win a couple of your home games and pick anything up, maybe end up with 13, 14 points sort of situation, I think that would be great. But it's very much game by game. I think Super Ali was saying that in the commentary. The boy that was commentating, I think he had us in the top 8, and we weren't going to have to worry. But I think it certainly helps. I think it was vitally important that we didn't lose tonight.
Yeah.
So that was part of my concern when it was still 1-0, that we were going to be coming on here after the game talking about how we should have put this game to bed, and there's us drop 2 points. That's just because you've seen that movie before. But I think we've gave ourselves a real opportunity the next two the next two matches are Lyon and Steaua Bucharest at Ibrox. There's an opportunity to get your 9 points.
Yeah. And if we can get the old Ibrox atmosphere going like it was a few seasons back, both of those potentially. I mean, okay, Lyon are a decent team, but we have beaten decent teams before, and we know the difference that the Ibrox atmosphere can
and
make.
I think to be honest, I think the fans will get a lift from that. The players will get a lift from that result and performance tonight. That then transmits into a better Ibrox atmosphere, because as much as the Ibrox atmosphere can be raucous, when the mood is a bit sort of subdued, it can take time to sort of lift. But I think the fact that, see if we can go into Sunday and you can have another positive result against Hibs, just keep building that momentum and keep winning games of football. I think certainly nobody's getting carried away here. We're just enjoying an away win in Europe. We're not getting any flights booked for the final or anything like that. We've had a lot of negativity over the last 3 or 4 months, so I think it's important that we try to accentuate the positives on a night where Rangers have won away in Europe, and I think let's hope we keep that going.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that, mate. And I'm seeing some comments here. I think Lyon fine. AG here talking about United and Tottenham. I'd love to take points off them, but even in disarray, these teams are light years away from us budget-wise. So,
to be honest with you, Dave, we don't play Tottenham until the middle of December. We don't play Man United until the middle of January. It's ages away. I'm not even, to be honest, the only time I'll be watching Tottenham and United is when I'm watching the EPL. Worry about them when it happens. Deal with the games that we've got leading up to that, so that you're in a position. See, before you play the games, you're in a position where you've possibly already qualified.
It's a free go, basically.
I think those games are see if you could be sitting on 10 points going into the games against.
We're not talking about Lammers. Jesus.
Aye, can we have that? And aye, we're trying to accentuate the positives. But yes, Curry, I hope I'm going to Old Trafford if the ticket, if the allocation permits. But I'm delighted. Just the final thing for me, I'm delighted for all the Bears that I know that travel all over Europe, and it costs them a heck of a lot of money. Following us here, there, and everywhere, don't always get the result, and sometimes the trip is better than the football. As somebody who went abroad for many years before wife and kids came into the equation, I hope they really enjoyed tonight, because the victories away from home don't happen often. So I'm delighted for the whole Rangers support, but particularly the guys and girls that follow away all the time.
Yeah, and I'd echo exactly that. So I think that brings us to the end here. Probably heard more than enough of us two rambling on. And as you say, at least it's a bit more positive than the last one that we did together. Just a reminder, folks, again, if you did like what you've seen tonight, please like and subscribe. Plenty more content coming, and that starts tomorrow with the Rangers news. As for tonight, thanks for listening. Remember, every night's a Rangers Journal night.